Hello, and thank you for joining me. In this video, I'm just going to give a somewhat quick overview of how to use the SPSS version of the code for the Global Flourishing Study. This first paper I'm going to do is just the demographic variation when we have a relatively simple continuous outcome. So here on this file, I have a computer that has SPSS on it, and I have the data set, and I have the syntax file that we need. One thing you'll first note is that they're in the same place. That is what I've found is the easiest way to kind of start this analysis, is to keep them in the same folder so that we can then keep everything kind of self-contained. So let's just first open up the data set. And sometimes SPSS will take a minute because it can be slow. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. Oh, it's doing stuff. We don't need anything here, so we can just close that. And there's our data file. And it's pretty big. So we don't really need to open it to run the analysis, but it's nice to always, that's one of the nice parts of SPSS is how well it does with visualizing and being able to kind of understand the data. So let's open up the syntax file. If you've never used the syntax file of SPSS, it's a very straightforward process. The first thing we need to do is just make a few adjustments to the syntax itself for your personal computer. So because I wrote this script based on a different outcome and a different computer than you might have, we need to change some things. So the first thing we need to do is change this line 12 where it has the data.dir for data.directory. So this directory is what I have on my personal computer, but I'm not on that right now. So that file path just doesn't exist, so we need to change it. So how do we identify where the data is stored? Well, the easiest way is just to go to the Documents folder and look at it. Sometimes you can also just click. Sometimes it'll appear up here if you click. Another way is just to right click. You can then go to Properties, and it will kind of start to give you the system folder that it's in. So what you'll notice is that the folder is called Documents, and it is in this location of C:\users NOP blah. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that, and remember, we also need to add in Documents. And there is probably a better way. And you just copy and paste it into here. Remember to keep things in quotes for here, and so we need to change them. Whenever you do copy and paste file paths in Windows computers, it likes to do backslashes, but we need to turn them all into forward slashes. And remember, it's /documents, and we need to have a trailing forward slash as well. So that is the directory, users, NOP 506 documents, where the data is stored on this computer, and that is the dataset name. It needs to be exact. It's case sensitive, so make sure that everything is exactly the same with the same underscores and everything. So one thing you can do, depending on how advanced you want to get with this, is you can actually add a different directory to kind of spit out the files, to kind of keep things separated if that's what you desire. But for this example, I'm just going to leave this blank, just leave it null. And what will happen is it will just put the results files in this directory where the data is. And so let's say instead of doing expenses, I want to do, I believe it is, yeah, so let's do expenses. Other possible continuous outcomes are what WB today for well-being today, or life evaluation for today, life evaluation for 5 years from now. There is physical health, mental health. All of those are examples of possible expense or continuous outcomes that you can do. So now we're going to actually start running this program. So now to do that, I found it's best to do this in two kind of separate steps. The first is to highlight the top few lines where it does, you don't need, where it highlight lines 3 and 4 where it has the stats package install R, and these are all the packages it's going to, all the kind of like extension things that it needs to run correctly. And we're going to then press this big green run button. And what will happen is it'll start to have this running package install. And this takes a couple minutes generally. Depends on your computer, depends on how fast the processor is, a bunch of different things. But generally, I found that if you run this first, you let that finish, and then we'll do the next step of running the actual code, which is pretty nice. It is still installing. Eventually, we'll get a window that pops up for the output that kind of describes what all it's doing. This is where I would typically go get some water, get another cup of coffee, just kind of chill, go talk to a friend, play games on your phone, pretend like you're working because you're just waiting. That's the fun part about doing this analysis. But the nice thing is once you do this, you don't have to do it again if you run this file on your same computer, because all of these things will be installed within SPSS. And then you're good to go. Oh, there we go. So what you see is it has installing, it has a lot of different things. Typically, you'll end up getting this message that says IBM processor ready. So then let's now run our analysis. So what we do is, I found that the easiest way, there's probably better, but the easiest way is just to highlight, then line 6, all the way down to the end. If you know of a better way to do highlighting, please let me know, because I know that's annoying. So what you do is you highlight everything, and then, very similar to the first step, you press run. And this, sometimes you'll get like a bunch of flickering for initially, and then it will run. The problem here is now you wait, and wait, and wait. So on my computer, this took about 4 hours. On the computer that I'm currently running this on, the last time I did it, it ran in about 3.5 hours. It is what it is. And so this is where you go grab lunch, go grab a beer, have meetings that you're supposed to go be at, or, just take a nap. And come back later and I'll show you what the results are. Okay, welcome back. So eventually what'll happen is this should say the processor is ready. Sometimes I haven't figured out exactly why. Sometimes it just won't say that it's done, even though it is. On this time, it actually ended correctly, and now it says that it's completed. And this is what the documents folder should look like on your, whatever that is in your computer, where you have the same syntax and data file, but now you have this file called GFS Paper 1 main text tables 1 and 2. Then you have Paper 1 online supplement. And then you got this Excel CSV file. And it is the demographic variation for everything combined. This is really important because this is the file that we need in order to get the meta-analysis results. Use this file and see if we can get the meta-analysis results. So we go into our browser of choice. And so this link will just be like available as part of the email and like kind of description file. So it is /GFS coding team.shinyapps.io /meta analysis shiny app. Let's hope that takes us there correctly if I typed it in right. Please wait, that's a good sign. Yes. And so what we need to know is this app only lasts for about 5 minutes. This is due to funding constraints. And so we just dismiss that. We then go down and select our outcome. It is expenses. We then select our files that we're going to input. In this case, it is the GFS Paper 1 demographic. So we just go and navigate to that folder, open it. After it does it, you'll notice that some of the messages went away. That's a great sign. Then we need to select what our study is. In this case, we're doing study 1, and we need to say whether it's continuous or binary allegoric. So it's continuous, and this is where it'll think for a minute. And then we get our results. It'll have the age group, it'll have the estimate for the category, and this is the main text table 1. And if we go over here, we will then download that as a Word file. It'll think for a second, and then I'll download it. Now let's download the online supplement. Click it, and the online supplement is looking good. So let's look at the main text meta-analysis results. And this is the table that we get for, that'll be main text table 3. Let's see if there's any additional formatting that we need to change. Well, it looks like there's not supposed to be a negative number there, so all you gotta do is remove that, because it's probably it's probably just a very small number, which makes sense for this category because it's so small. Yeah, and so far everything looks pretty good. And this is the table that we need to include in our analysis. I think I will probably update the app so that this column is updated, but this is essentially what we'll put in. So it's heterogeneous. Just to give it a little bit better description. And then what you can do is just copy and paste this file after you remove your outcome. You just say in, I believe it's worries about monthly expenses. And just put in whatever title makes sense for your outcome. And that is the meta-analytic result for table for study 1 with demographic variation in worries about monthly expenses. And so please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them, as we're going to go through how to interpret a lot of these things in the overall group. Thank you.